forgot my earrings. I forgot my earrings. Welcome in, everybody. We're going to get started for today talking more about women's health and our hormone health specifically. To get our week, I was supposed to say our day, but we're talking about our week because we want to look ahead in the future, but not too far ahead, just enough for us to really be stabilized and for us to be supported, because for me and a lot of people, it should be this way, but we don't do it this way. We're not taught to do it this way. Sunday should be the day to start your foundation for the week. It shouldn't be the end of the week, but rather it should be the beginning. And the reason why for this is because when you start your week off on a Sunday, especially when you don't work weekends, this sets you up to not only be prepared when it comes to cravings, to be able to have your intention set for the week, and also if you are on your health journey, to be able to make sure that you are checking in and holding yourself accountable in the best way possible, so you're not reflecting when you're having a bad day. Because too many of us sit here and we wait till we have a bad day to have reflection, and that's not the time for you to have a reflection, because you're already in a mental space of not being comfortable. Then you're in a mental space of, oh, I'm having a bad day, so I'm not doing everything that I feel like I could be doing. And on top of that, majority of the time, y'all let your negative thoughts and your negative connotations take over the way that you view how you are doing. And so when you sit there and you have that bad day, you have those challenges happen during the week, you are not going to have the discerning thought to be able to sit back and be like, no, I set my intentions on Sunday, so this is what I need to do. No, I actually did good Monday through Wednesday, and yes, Thursday was a hard day, but I'm not struggling and I'm not going backwards on my journey. And too many of us are sitting here believing that in the system that we currently are following, we are broken. Our body doesn't do what it needs to do. Our body is not being supportive of our lifestyle because we want to be active. We want to be able to go out and live our life, but we have to stop because of certain cycles and hormones going on, or cravings and etc. But we're not realizing that our body isn't broken. It's not the fact that your body is not doing what it needs to do, that your body is broken, it doesn't know how to do what it has to do. It's blocked. When you haven't set the intentions that, okay, I'm going to focus on my hormonal health for this week. I'm going to make sure that I'm not throwing myself off with the foods that I eat. I'm going to start learning how to support my body in healing naturally with the foods that I eat, with the products that I use, understanding how to make natural medicine so if I am in pain, I don't have to take an Advil or a Aleve. When you start to do these different things, when your body is feeling off, you'll realize that you have been constantly throwing your body in a fight or flight state for years. And since you have been in this state for years, your body is now reaping the repercussions of, okay, you throw your hormones off with food. You throw your hormones off with these chemicals. You put perfume that's inflammatory on your body. You eat meat. You eat dairy. You're constantly eating processed foods. And all of these things are piling on more issues that throw off your system further. And so when you're throwing your system off and you're not healing it with the supportive actions that you should be doing, yes, you are going to be feeling like your body's attacking you from the inside out. Yes, you are going to feel fatigued. Yes, you're going to feel that mental fog. Yes, you're going to be sitting here dealing with the issues of PMS or painful menstrual cycles or irregular cycles overall. And this is because you have to understand what is going on inside of your body so that you can heal it. When you don't realize what it feels like to actually be healing and actually be in the space of your body giving back to you, you'll never realize that being bloated, being fatigued, you having mental fog, you sitting here with all these mood swings and PMS is not normal. But when you feel the space of actually what your body is supposed to do and how your body is supposed to reset itself naturally, you'll realize quickly, this is not the way that my body is supposed to function. And since it hasn't been functioning correctly for years, what have I been doing? What was the root cause of the issue? These are the questions that we have to ask in order for us to stop having the block that we have that's making us feel stuck. These are the questions that we have to ask so that we can naturally heal our bodies with intention towards the actual support that we are looking for. Not just doing things for facade diets or trying this out so I can lose weight or just doing this momentarily and hoping that it works, but actually finding the solutions that we have been looking for. So, If you were tired of being bloated, if you're tired of being inflamed, if you're tired of the fatigue, it's not because there's something wrong with you. A lot of people don't realize that you are naturally deficient in all of the things that you need. You eat constantly, but you're constantly hungry. You eat all the time. You eat 3 meals a day. You eat your snacks, but you're not realizing the fact that you do not get any nutrition in the foods that you're eating. So you're nutritionally lacking where you need to be gaining. And so then you go through these cycles of, oh, I'm in moods, and oh, I'm just moody, I'm having PMS, and you're not realizing that food is the key to the answer that you're looking for. When you have the nutrition that you need, do you realize you won't be moody? Do you realize when you're actually feeling full and you're actually getting stabilizers in your food, you won't be moody? You won't be having cravings. You won't be having mood swings. But when you're lacking nutrition, when you're lacking what you need, you're going to be having cravings. You're going to be having mood swings. You're going to be sitting here dealing with PMS symptoms. You're going to be sitting here having all these intense cravings during your cycle. We aren't taught these things. So then you sit here and you think that I don't have any willpower. I can't do this. You sit here and think you have no discipline. You think there's something wrong with you internally. But in reality, you have no support. There is no support system with the habits that you have, because the habits that you have been taught doesn't help you support your system. The habits that you have been taught overloads you to the point where now you have toxins storing inside of your fat cells. Now your hormones are completely thrown off. Now you developed illnesses. Now you develop diabetes. Now you develop insulin resistance. Now you're sitting here dealing with fibroids and cysts. This is the system that you are brought up into and taught to follow. It's not because you don't know how to take care of your body. It's not because the intentions that you have aren't supporting your system the way that you believe diet culture is supposed to be supporting you. In reality, the reason why these things aren't supporting you is because it's rooted in throwing off your body's natural chemistry. When you start to support that chemistry with the same energy that you put in towards diet culture and support your system naturally healing, you'll realize really quickly, it's not the lack of intention, it's not the lack of willpower, it's not the lack of discipline that you have. It's the lack of realizing what real education looks like towards your health. You not having that support system to actually break down, this is what a stabilizer is. So when you are eating something that's sugary, regardless if it's natural sugar from fruits, or you're eating a processed snack that doesn't have a bunch of terrible toxins, but it's still a sugary treat, you can eat stabilizers so you're not spiking your insulin, which makes you go into a diabetic state. But when you weren't taught these things, and you consistently are taught, eat meat, eat dairy, eat processed snacks, as long as you're just restricting and making sure that you eat in a calorie deficit, or you do your diets every now and then. When you are taught and you believe into that and you feed into that, look at how society is, because that's the result that you get. We're sitting here dealing with people that are overweight, not knowing how to take care of themselves, dealing with a whole bunch of issues when it comes to illness and disease, sitting here thinking that diet culture supports you, but you hate diets. So you do it for a couple of weeks, you hate it, you complain, and then you quit, and then you go back to your old lifestyle, and you do this yo-yoing of, okay, 1 minute I'm going to be healthy, next minute I'm going to do this. And too many of us, and the reason why we're so overweight is because we're overfed, but we're malnourished. We are undernourished when it comes to the things that we are supposed to be giving our bodies. And so we sit here and we wonder why you eat 3 meals a day, you eat snacks, and yet you're still hungry. I have tons of people who come to me and talk about that they're having issues with gaining weight. When they go on a plant-based lifestyle, in general beforehand, they were already having trouble gaining weight. And then they talk about the fact that, oh, well, I eat this, I don't eat this. And I'm like, okay, but how much do you eat? What do you eat in quantity? You can't skip meals if you're trying to gain weight. And if you're being plant-based, you have to realize that it's more than just when you sit there and you think about the lifestyle that you were living before, for example. Okay, when you're eating meats, you think, okay, I get chicken, that's my protein, right? I'm going to throw some rice on the side because rice is supposed to be healthy and it's supposed to be supporting my system, right? And this is what you view as a full total meal. But when you're plant-based, that one source of protein is not going to be, oh, I can only eat chickpeas and I'm going to eat a little bit of chickpeas and this should be all the protein. If you're going to eat chickpeas, you also need to add quinoa. You need to be adding a whole plethora of chickpeas, lentils, etc. You can add in different proteins in order for you to get the full amount that you need in every single meal. It doesn't have to be one specific area. But when you're eating meats, a lot of y'all don't realize you're eating an overload of unhealthy proteins, because the proteins that you're getting from the meat is a protein, but it's not a healthy protein, because the meat is inflammatory. It's making you sick, and you are consuming this meat that is inflammatory and making you sick, and you're constantly doing this. And if you're sitting here and you're thinking, okay, well, how is meat inflammatory? Because they promote us to eat meat, and they tell us we have to eat meat. And if we don't eat meat, we're going to lose weight, and we're going to unalive, and all these different things that you have been taught. I have been over 4 years without eating any meat, first of all. Second of all, a lot of you are not realizing that when your animal is slaughtered, the life that it goes through in general, it has issues when it comes to being stable. It's already in a hectic environment, okay? And then if they know that they're getting slaughtered, which animals do because they pick up on these things. It's an energetic thing. Animals literally pick up on energies. They know they're going to unalive. They know when they're going to the slaughterhouse. They know when they're not in their natural environment. They know when they're taken away from their mother when they're not supposed to be. Their hormones are in a high cortisol state. That's a stress hormone. When you're in a high cortisol state, and the same thing happens with people, when your cortisol is high for majority of your life, you do realize at some point it has to plateau. There is a climax to everything. And so when you are in a high cortisol state, let's say for 6 months, your body eventually is going to go, you know what, and drop your cortisol down to an all-time low. But a lot of people think that's where you're supposed to be, is the all-time low, right? Because you want low cortisol. But you don't want low cortisol. You want balanced cortisol. You don't want it too high, and you don't want it too low. Because when your cortisol goes too low, that also puts your body in a fight or flight state, which causes you to hold on to toxins, which causes you to develop cancer, which causes you to become sick. The same thing happens when you have a high cortisol. But when your cortisol is balanced, which aka means balanced hormones, that means you are not in a fight or flight state, but instead your cortisol is relaxed. It's in the normal state, so you're not stressed out. So the same thing happens with the animal. So when you sit here and you consume that cow, when you sit here and you consume that chicken, when you sit here and you consume the bison or whatever else, your lamb chops, they're in a high cortisol or completely low cortisol state. And you know what happens? It makes you develop cancer. You know what happens to that animal? They develop cancer. You know what happens when the animal has cancer? They cut the cancer off of the animal. Hi, boo. How are you doing? Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the likes, guys. I really appreciate it. So you have to really sit back and address the situation by assessing what is going on. You have to observe. You need to be questioning everything that they teach you. The only reason why they started promoting dairy is because they realized that they backed dairy farmers to start producing more dairy. And when they couldn't pay them, you know what happened? They were like, we have to do this somehow because we gave them now all of this financial compensation and we can't pay them. We told them to start making more dairy and now we can't pay them. So how are we going to pay them? I know. Start marketing to the mother. Start marketing in the home. Start telling people this is what you have to do to get all your vitamins, to have strong bones. And then now here we are centuries later, and these doctors are telling you, yeah, they paid me to give doctor backing for dairy when dairy is not needed. And not only is it not needed, but it's highly inflammatory. Yes, you shouldn't be consuming cow's milk because it's highly inflammatory. There's a reason why outside of just, oh, you're not a cow, you shouldn't be drinking milk. You don't need another animal, another being's milk. You need a human's milk. And when you are no longer consuming that because you're not an infant, you don't need anything's milk. But when you are wanting milk, you do realize that there is milk that you can get from almonds. You can make milk from hemp seeds. You can make milk from cashews. You can make milk from walnuts. If you have a nut allergy, there are more ways to make milk outside of nuts. Because I have people that come to me all the time talking about they have nut allergies. There are plenty of plant-based milk. And it tastes the same. All you have to do is sweeten it the way you want it to be. Or make it at home and then it'll be as sweetened as you want it to be. But sitting here saying that you have no alternative or it's too difficult, and then you sitting here complaining about all your health issues is just going to make you go down a path of having to have a surgery, relying on these doctors, being in this space of in 2030, them projecting to make $1 trillion profit off of people being diabetic and obese alone. Because that milk that you're depending on, that meat that you're depending on, that processed snack that you're depending on is going to put you in an overweight place. It's going to make you diabetic. There is no question. Because chicken, because we love to eat our chicken. Thank you for the gifts. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the follows. Chicken feeds type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes undealt with, because a lot of y'all get diabetes and you think that insulin is the way for you to support your system when it's not. And you still eat meat, you still eat dairy, you still consume the processed snacks that have led you here. You are going to go down a path of having type 3 diabetes. Thank you for the gifts. I really appreciate it. This type 3 diabetes, after you develop this, you do realize type 3 diabetes undealt with, it has been linked. I mean, it has been correlated, not directly linked, but they have correlated type 3 diabetes with developing Alzheimer's. You are more likely when you have type 3 diabetes to develop Alzheimer's. You know what feeds Alzheimer's? Sugar. Sugar literally makes you lose your mind. Sugar completely throws off the brain. Not natural sugar, but processed sugars. Natural sugar that comes from fruit, that comes from the earth. You drinking, or not drinking, but consuming like maple syrup. You consuming agave. The natural syrups doesn't completely throw off your chemical chemistry. But when you consume these processed sugars like you're promoted to do, because they tell you as long as you eat this fiber 1 bar, you should be getting all the fiber that you need in one day, right? But they don't tell you how much sugar it has in it. Your Cheerios are a heart healthy cereal, but they don't tell you it has all these toxins in it, including the fact that it's going to spike your insulin because it's highly sugary. These toxins are going to make you inflamed, and then also it's going to spike your insulin. And so in the end, you're going to be in an insulin resistant state and a highly inflammatory state. And so after this whole long process of you thinking that you're doing what you need to do because you're following diet culture and you're following what they tell you to do, and you're confused of how you have diabetes, so then you just cut back on some things and you keep eating the way that you do, you're leading yourself to having type 3 diabetes and Alzheimer's, or developing Alzheimer's first. Thank you for the gifts. Hi, how are you doing? I'm happy to have you here. Appreciate you. Thank you for all the new faces. How are you guys doing today? So this is what I mean by we have to get in the mental capacity of realizing that you need to be questioning everything. There is no, okay, well, maybe I can do this and I can try this because at the end of the day, this doesn't hurt me, but this does. Everything that you have been taught needs to be questioned. I don't care if you don't think this is harmful. You need to be questioning it. If it doesn't come from the earth, you need to be questioning it. If it's not a fruit, if it's not a vegetable, if it's not a nut, a legume, a bean, you need to be questioning it. Instead of y'all worrying about if something is organic or inorganic, which you should be consuming the organic. I don't care about what anybody says about, well, there is no real organic, because I can tell you as somebody who has been plant-based for over 4 years, you can tell the difference between organic and non-organic. You thinking that there is no difference because you don't want to spend the extra money doesn't defeat the purpose of the fact that non-GMO things are not inflammatory. So you getting non-GMO fruits and vegetables is not going to make you inflamed. You eating GMO fruits and vegetables makes you inflamed. I talked about this a while ago, and I'm going to bring this back up. I have to find the article again. How they have done a study, and they talked about the fact that, thanks to the follows, they talked about in this study that when you're consuming GMOs, it promotes this cancer growing cell to reproduce inside of your body, because GMOs make you inflamed. What does cancer feed off of? Inflammation. So it promotes this different type of cancer cell to replicate itself that I don't know if it has a name yet or not. I'm going to have to look to see if it has a name, but it's a different type of cancer cell. And so when you wrap your brain around that thought that they are promoting you to eat fruits and vegetables that are genetically modified, because this is what they give you when you're on genetic and when you're on government assistance, when your kids go to school, when they're telling you, oh yeah, we give them fruits and they give them vegetables, but they don't tell you that they're non-GMO. I mean, they're not non-GMO, that they're all genetically modified, because they are giving your children, if you have kids in school, genetically modified foods. And I worked with kids, so I'm not just speaking off of I'm assuming. I know. they were giving them and they put this in the packet of the welcome packet, because I'm reading it, because they tell us that we should read it so we're very aware of what we know when new families come in, right? I'm reading it, and it literally says on there, we give them a healthy, balanced meal every single day, including a snack. So I'm reading this, right? As I'm working there over the month, I'm trying to put two and two together. Where is the healthy, balanced meal that y'all are promoting? Because you're giving these kids genetically modified fruits and vegetables, because it was labeled number 4. Number 4 is pesticides and genetically modified. Wax all over the apples because they're genetically modified and they're covered with pesticides. On top of all of that, they're sitting here giving them inflammatory foods. And how I know they're giving inflammatory foods, because a certain time of the year, they're giving kids, where I used to work at, they were giving kids warm foods when it's cold outside, right? So they're going, okay, we're going to give them shepherd's pie. Shepherd's pie is full of meat with a whole bunch of inflammatory oils, right? So they're giving them shepherd's pie. They're giving them grilled cheeses. They're giving them all of this different warm foods, right? And this is the time of the year that everybody gets sick, because it's flu season. It's sickness season, right? But I'm not sick. But I'm watching all the kids who consume all of this meat, who eat all this dairy, because there's some kids who prefer not to eat meat and dairy. And so the kids who don't eat that stuff, they stayed healthy and fine. And this is me just observing, mind you. I'm still plant-based, but this is me just observing. This is not me doing some kind of experiment with these kids. This is the kids that naturally know what's up. Don't even have to get taught these things, that naturally just know they shouldn't be eating these things, versus the kids who are at home promoted to eat these things. Because I had a little girl in my room who did not like drinking dairy. She barely ate meats. She only ate like chicken tenders. That was about the only thing that she ate. And then everything else was like she was eating vegetables and sides. She was never out sick. I had a child who loved dairy. He loved his meat. He was a big eater, the cutest little thing ever, but he stayed sick. He stayed sick, constantly taking medicine. And I had several other children in my room like that as well. He was a big meat eater. He was a thirds. And he's a little itty bitty, like 3-year-old, 2-year-old at the time, I think. He was getting thirds in his meals. Like, he was a big eater. He stayed sick. Thank you guys for the gifts. I really appreciate it. So as you really sit back and you observe how things impact the body, you realize that there is no flu season. There is no sickness season. The problem is you eat all the inflammatory foods during the season. You don't go outside during the season, which you have to be going outside. And then on top of that, you're like, ooh, let me get hot cocoa full of inflammatory dairy. Let me eat all my favorite snacks that are inflammatory. Let me eat all this sugar that's inflammatory, because you're eating comfort meals, because this is the holiday season for a lot of people. So they're eating all their favorite foods with their family, right? You have a bunch of inflammatory habits during that season. And so you get sick. And then when springtime comes around, everybody's blaming it on allergy season, but it's literally the back up from the winter season. And then you sitting here in January and February being so sick. And then you finally feeling like you're finally getting a breath of fresh air. And then boom, pollen season hits, right? But pollen season won't be affecting you the way that you feel right now. Currently, allergy season won't be affecting you the way that you feel if you're not overloaded with inflammation. And that inflammation that you have been backed up with since the winter time has carried on until this time. And the only reason why a majority of people feel good during the summer, if you're not one of those people who get summer colds, because I was at one point, I think like 2 or 3 years before I went plant-based, had started to get summer colds. I only used to get sick about once a year. I was getting sick twice a year. And I was like, I never get sick twice a year. So I was getting confused because I was getting summer colds. For the people who get summer colds, that means that you're not even getting active during the summertime, because usually during the summertime, this is the time that people start going outside. They're getting their sun. They're being active in some way. They're sweating, right? So you don't see that much sickness during the summertime. But when you're not doing those things, you're more likely to get sick. And so then you're sitting here and you're getting sick during this time, and you're trying to figure out, oh my goodness, why do I have a summer cold? I'm not feeling good. It's summertime. This doesn't make any sense. It's not because of the seasons, honey. It's because of the inflammation inside of your body that's being impacted by all the external things. Because people don't realize this. You come in contact with cancer every single day with external factors that you can't control. The only reason why cancer has a place to thrive inside of your body is because of inflammation. If you are not inflamed, it has no place to thrive. It has no place to live. It won't last long. The other cells that are healthy replicate themselves to fight off the cancer. This is how you live to see another day. But when you get older, and years of you throwing yourself off, you never establish new habits, you never learn any new techniques, you never learn new habits, right? And you do this for years on end, the cancer stays and it starts to thrive more. It starts to live longer. Maybe you've developed illness and disease along the way. Now you're taking prescriptions. Now you're taking insulin. Now you're doing these different things, and prescriptions are full of inflammatory ingredients. And then you consistently keep doing the same habits for 20 plus more years when you've already been doing it for 20 or 30 years beforehand. And then you keep piling on more and more, and then you're wondering why all of a sudden now you hit 50 or 60 and you have fibroids, or you have cancer, or you have this going on. And it wasn't just an onset of suddenly you have cancer. You've been showing symptoms for years through inflammation, because inflammation is the warning sign to let you know you have something internally that's blocking you and it's causing issues. There is nothing wrong with you not realizing or not knowing these things and realizing it now. But the problem is when you realize these things and you don't do anything about it, but yet you want to keep complaining about all the issues that you're having going on. That's the problem. The problem is to keep sitting here doing the same thing and yet complaining about, oh, I have to take this prescription. Oh, I need to be on this birth control because my cycle is irregular. Oh, my hormones are off, so I have to take this iron supplement. You don't need a supplement. You don't need a prescription. You don't need a surgery. The problem is that you have not changed your habits. Because when you change your habits to actually support your system, then you won't be sitting here in a state of inflammation. So let's say that you do still are lacking iron. Let's say that now you have gone to a plant-based system where it's now being supportive of your system and you're feeling better and you're feeling good, but your iron is still not where it needs to be. This is when you can start supplementing in a herb. Because I have people who come to me, and I say this all the time, so I'm going to say this. I do not promote anybody taking herbs unless you're using food as your medicine. If you are not using food as your medicine, there is no reason for you to be taking herbs, because it's the same thing as you taking the medication or doing the surgery. It's a momentary band-aid so that you don't have to change, so that you don't have to establish any new habits, and that's not going to help you. What you have to do is learn how to use food as your medicine first. Food is the key. And then once you learn how to use food as your medicine, then we can start talking about other issues that you have going on if they're not solving themselves. But when you start using food as your medicine, you stop using those inflammatory, toxic ingredients in your body wash, your mouthwash, your toothpaste, your hair products, your skincare products, all the different things that you put on your body that are inflammatory as well. And you actually start supporting your system, then you'll start to see a change. But when you are not healing in the space that you need to be, then we can be like, okay, let's start with the herbal tea. What herbal supplement? But you have to stop taking these medications full of toxins. You have to stop using these products full of toxins. And you have to stop eating foods full of toxins. Reading your labels is more than just knowing what the calorie intake is and understanding how to read what sugar and total fats and all the different micros and macros. But actually understanding titanium dioxide is a filler. You don't need fillers. You don't need additives. You don't need preservatives. Understanding that citric acid is made from black mold if it's not coming from a natural source. And majority of these companies, like Pepsi, I don't even know, but I'm just going to say Pepsi. I'm not even going to name a whole plethora. But the point is, all of these companies that have these big brands are using the non-natural citric acid because it's cheap. Not because they care about you and are using the natural citric acid from fruit. They're using the fake artificial from black mold because it's cheap. They can get it in a lab, curate it for the cheap, and put it in your food and preserve it so it doesn't mold. But they're microdosing you with mold. Like I said, there is nothing wrong with your body. There is nothing wrong with you not being motivated. It's because you have thrown your body off for so long that you don't realize. You don't understand. You have to make a full, complete lifestyle change. Diet culture has made us believe that we can do momentary things in order for us to Not even heal, but rather just to manage and make it by day to day. Instead of us realizing the potential of our body, because our body naturally heals itself when we stop harming it, when we stop blocking it. But when you keep blocking your healing the way that a lot of us do, you're going to think there's something wrong with your body when there's nothing wrong with your body. And then you're going to think that, oh, being vegan for a week didn't fix me, so it's not working. I'm not going to keep doing this because I want to eat meat. Y'all believe in diet culture so much, and it has misconstrued your brain to the point where you can't have a discerning thought to realize that you've been throwing your body off for 20 years. So why in the world do you think a week is going to fix you? You've been throwing your body off for 20 plus years. Why do you think a week of eating correctly is going to fix you? Why do you think that, okay, I can still eat the same foods that made me sick, but restrict calories, and this is going to fix me? You say you've been plant-based for over 10 years. For 10 years, that's absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Thank you for the follows. I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss any gifts or follows. I really appreciate you guys, and thank you for the likes. I really appreciate it. It's no quick fix, and that's what we have to get our brain wrapped around. When you were feeling sluggish, you do realize that when you're feeling sluggish, your liver is sluggish as well, because your liver is your detoxing state. That is where your toxins are sitting here. This is where your toxins are sitting here and storing. And then when they have no other place to go because it's now stored inside of your liver and you're developing fatty liver disease, now it starts to store inside of your fat cells. So then now you're also overweight, and then you're having fatty liver issues. So this is causing estrogen buildup. This is causing acne. It's causing mood swings. It's causing heavy, painful menstrual cycles, irregular cycles. It's causing that excess weight gain. And you are in this endless cycle of thinking there's something wrong with your body. But in reality, the sluggishness is because your liver is overloaded with work. And then you're sitting here thinking like, okay, well, my body doesn't work the way that it should be, and it's not working the way that it needs to be. So then now I should be taking a prescription, right? Because my doctor says this supplement will help me. Or I need this surgery because this should be able to help me. And so you do this, and then you're wondering why in 10 years, 5 years, oh my goodness, I'm back in the same space. It's not because it didn't work. It's because you didn't use the right solution. It's because it never was the solution. In order for you to see the solution of progress, you have to get to the root cause. And then the root cause is what you need to change. The root cause will set you up to be like, okay, these are the habits that have led me here. This is the problem. So you can form an actual plan, a strategy that is not just you guessing. Because a lot of y'all do diet culture on a guessing game. I'm going to do this keto. I'm going to do this paleo. I'm going to do Weight Watchers. I'm going to do Jenny Craig. And you guessing throughout. Oh, if I count calories, this should be good enough, right? Oh, I'm guessing that this isn't bad for me to eat. You're playing a guessing game. And this guessing game that you've been playing with your health has been throwing you off for years. So at what point are we going to stop guessing? And we're going to be like, you know what? I want a definitive answer rather than guessing. And a lot of y'all's doctors also play a guessing game. And how I know they do is because my doctor, even as nice, as sweet as she was, and how much I love my doctor, is playing a guessing game. And how I can tell you they're playing a guessing game, as women, when you go into the doctor, they don't ask you what phase of your cycle you're on, but they ask you about when was your last menstrual cycle. But they're not asking you what phase are you on or how you're feeling during that phase when you're complaining about your sluggish or fatigue. You're having all this inflammation, right? They tell you that, looks like you're insulin resistant. You are borderline diabetic, right? But they're not asking you what phase of your cycle. Do you know what phase of your cycle you're most insulin resistant, and what phase of your cycle are you on? My doctor didn't even ask me every single time when my last cycle was. But the point is, they're playing a guessing game. You go in, you tell them your symptoms, and they're like, okay, well, do you have this going on? Do you have this? And then they get on their computer, and they're doing just like you do. Get on Google. It's a guessing game. Let me type this in. Let me see. Right? So how come they can go to school, which I'm not saying that they should have everything on their backhand, but I'm just saying, how come they can go to school for this many years and do the same thing that I've been doing, which is just looking it up on the computer, researching, but they can't tell you a solution to heal? They feed you facade diets. They tell you to take a prescription. And it's not because the doctor is wrong, but that's because that's their programming. They aren't taught to help you heal. I had somebody in my life who was diagnosed with diabetes. I told them 2 months, and I don't speak things into existence. I'm always saying I don't speak this into existence, but I just want to make you understand the light in the space that you were in. And so I mapped out exactly what their body was doing. And I told them, you already had kidney disease. Kidney disease is going to affect your insulin because kidneys, they filter your blood. We know this. You haven't changed your ways of eating. So that means that you're already on the path of having fatty liver disease. Your pancreas is working overtime to compensate the insulin. So this is going to cause more issues with your liver trying to detox toxins, as well as your bloodstream isn't filtered because your kidneys are already damaged. So not only are you going to have diabetes because you're pre-diabetic right now, but you are being diagnosed with pre-diabetes. So then you're already in the space of diabetes, because pre-diabetes is the space of diabetes because you were insulin resistant long before then, right? And so I told them, you already have heart issues, so their heart disease is going to be affected. And so you do realize that each aspect of these organs are already suffering. So this means that your body is panicking. This means that you're having failure. Why did they come to me within, I think, a month and a half? And they told me again, okay, my doctor said, yes, not only has my pre-diabetes got worse, but now I have been diagnosed with fatty liver disease. They already had kidney issues. They were already diagnosed with heart issues. They have pre-diabetes symptoms. And now they've come to me and said that they have fatty liver disease. So this is what I mean by you are playing a guessing game, and so are they. Because they didn't break it down and tell them exactly like I told them, this is what's happening inside of your body, and this is where you're led to, because you're already having issues with the kidney. You're already having issues with the heart. And the only thing left for them to tell him is the pancreas. That's it. And then at that point, it's diabetes, if they're not already in that space. And so this is just the mental space that you have to be in, is to make the connections. The guessing games don't work. You have to make the connections. I have been doing this research since 2020 on understanding how to balance hormones inside the body, understanding what is going on to heal from a space of healing. I didn't have to go through a doctoral program that teaches me how to use a prescription and a surgery and to become a doctor in order for me to heal my body. And I'm speaking as somebody who used to be over 200 pounds, who couldn't get under 190, as active as I was. I was always an active child. The key solution to me actually changing and understanding how to support my body and changing was me first getting from the space of thinking that this lifestyle is supporting me and questioning, why is this not working? Because that was the first question I had was, okay, I do all these diets and yet it doesn't keep me in the space of the weight that I should be. I do all these diets, I'm active, and yet I have to sit here and restrict all of these different foods and be hungry all the time in order for me to be at a healthy weight that they consider to be healthy. I didn't have to restrict. I didn't have to do all of these different things once I started to use food as my medicine and went plant-based. I don't have to sit here and starve. I can tell you from the lifestyle that I was living before, I was starving, I was hungry, I was upset. I was like, man, I'm so hungry all the time. I'm not hungry. I'm not starving. There are rarely days where I sit here and I'm like, man, I'm just so hungry and I have nothing to eat. There are rarely days like that. And you know why? Because I can eat a plethora of foods, and I don't even eat 3 meals a day, but I can eat 3 meals a day and still be under the calorie deficit of you eating 1 meal. 3 meals a day and snacks, and I'm still not going over a calorie deficit, because you eat a bunch of malnutritional meals, but yet you sit here and you consume all day. I can't even eat that much. And I say that not in a space of, oh, I'm fasting and I just don't want to eat that much and I'm trying to be skinny, because I'm not skinny. First of all, I have lost weight and I'm at a healthy weight, but I'm not skinny. I eat when I'm hungry and I don't when I don't. But I'm full in between the times that I'm not hungry. I'm not sitting here saying, well, I just ate, I don't need to eat again. I'm full. That's the difference. Y'all aren't full. Thank you for the gifts. I really appreciate it. Y'all have to realize if you're not getting full off of the food that you're eating, it's malnourished. There's no nutrition in the foods. You are malnourished. That means you're lacking nourishment. That means you're going to be hungry. What gives you nourishment? Healthy fats. healthy proteins, stabilizers. This is how you feel full and you stay full, so you stop over consuming. But when you're sitting here dealing with all of these cravings, and you're dealing with the weight fluctuation, you're dealing with all the issues of fatigue and mental fog, you don't have the mental capacity to be sitting here realizing and making the connections of the fact that your food is not giving you any nutrition. And how I know is because this is the reason why when I bring up going plant-based, so many people are like, oh, I just can't do that. That's too much. Oh, power to you, but I can't do that. You do realize that fruits and vegetables come from the earth. What are you supposed to be eating? Like, really breaking down, the earth produces vegetation, not just for the animals to eat. Because when you go all the way back biblically, Adam and Eve wasn't slaughtering the animals in the garden. You go all the way back to the beginning. What were they eating? The vegetation of the garden, the fruits and vegetables of the earth. They had dominion over the animals. Dominion does not mean slaughter. The only reason why we started slaughtering meat was because after sin entered the world and they were kicked out of the garden, there wasn't a garden for them to eat from. So yeah, they had to slaughter an animal or two until their garden started producing fruit that they had to grow on their own and the land that they had to produce on their own. Yes, they had to figure out a way to eat. Yes, they used to slaughter animals back in the day of sacrifice and they would eat the meat. Yes, they used to have slaughters in their own village for sacrifice so that they could eat the meat. They weren't eating meat every day, multiple times a day. They weren't even eating meat every single week. But y'all have taken this concept of, well, they used to eat meat in the Bible and they used to eat meat and meat is sanctified now so you can eat pork, which you shouldn't be eating pork. It's a dirty animal. Y'all take that and you run with it, and you don't realize that these terms were set in a space of lack. They were set in a space of, you're in the wilderness, you have nothing to eat. You're in the desert, there is no vegetation. There wasn't there's a grocery store around the corner. You can go get this meat that was frozen for months on end and eat that. That wasn't the intent for the purpose of those laws being lifted from the restrictions. But y'all have been so misconstrued by this programming that you have no discerning thought to really make the connections of what you were supposed to actually be doing. Because you let other people think for you, and it's time to stop. I'm not here to make you make an emotional decision to come work with me now and do it now. If you feel compelled, if you are ready to change, yes, time is now. The time for you to do it is now. Do not wait till later, because 2030 is right around the corner and everything is getting worse. As you can see with our world, everything is getting worse. Food prices are going up. Food quality is going down. Us struggling mentally is getting worse. So why wait until it all goes to crap when it's already going downhill? But if you're sitting here sketched out, confused, you're like, this ain't gonna work for me. I'm not gonna be able to eat plant-based. This ain't gonna work. I'm not here to make you make an emotional decision. Please go find somebody else that can give you a quick, fast solution that won't work. Go talk to your doctor for Ozempic and a surgery that won't last. But when you are ready to have sustainable change and to actually see what you need to actually heal and to learn the strategy to heal from a space that is natural, that you are supposed to actually be in, and to raise the next generation or the generation that's now, if you have kids now, or if you plan on having them, or even help your loved ones that are actually open and ready to heal instead of managing, I'm in the space to help you be able to craft a strategy, because I am in the space of mastery now. It's been over 4 years and I don't have a day where I'm questioning and confused if this is working for me. I'm in the space now where my body speaks to me so clearly. I know exactly what I ate and exactly what threw me off that day. There is no, I have to wait and I have to figure this out and go back and forth to the doctor. I have to try this and see if this works in this prescription. I haven't been to a doctor to get a prescription, to get a diagnosis, let alone have they told me if I need anything during my checkup in years. My dentist, I go to the dentist. Like I said, I make my own toothpaste, my own mouthwash. I go to the dentist. I'm clean bill of health. They're asking me, they're asking me, what do I do? Do I whiten my teeth? Like, they're asking me all these different questions and everything. I said, nope. I had spilled the beans, and I told this a while ago. I had spilled the beans that I stopped using fluoride a couple of years ago on accident, just speaking to my dental assistant, was talking to her because she's so sweet, and I had accidentally slipped up and been like, yeah, I stopped using fluoride, I use this. And she was like, oh, no, you need your fluoride. Mind you, 2 minutes before that, she was talking about how healthy my teeth are, how good they look, how she wished most of her patients took as much care as they did of their teeth, etc., etc. I didn't tell her how long I had stopped using fluoride, so I assumed that she probably thought that I had just stopped using fluoride. And so I'm just listening to her go on her long spiel, and I'm going, okay, and I'm listening to her. And I'm telling all of you, the only reason why they promote this fluoride to you is because of the program that they go through. They are taught that you can't have healthy teeth without your fluoride. You can't build back enamel. They're telling you all these different things. And that's a lie. If you can break a bone and it heals back, how come you can't build back your teeth enamel? If you can break your leg and it can grow and it can heal and it can be fine, if you leave it alone, how come you can't grow back the enamel in your mouth for your teeth? How come you can't build back the enamel? Because that's the programming that they're under. And they are taught this so they can teach you this. Because in your brain, you have to go to school for 6+ years as a doctor, as a dental assistant, or as a dentist, or whatever else, in order for you to know these things. But y'all don't realize, which this obviously was very unethical for a lot of things that they used to do back in the day. But the only reason why they started making people have to have doctorate degrees and all the different things is because when people of color started going to school and actually getting an education, they wanted you to have to pay, because there had to be a paywall, because they knew that people of color couldn't pay at a certain point. They knew at a certain point you would be stopped, because people of color didn't have the money to be putting in towards college, because you didn't even have enough money in the beginning to go to school for free. You didn't have all the resources. You had to work. So they knew if they paywalled it, you wouldn't hit a certain point. Because now, and they're even talking about this when you do research, now you getting a graduate degree is the same thing as you getting your undergrad. It's not the same quality. They put this construct around you of thinking that these different titles are the way and the only way for you to do things, because we live in a system that promotes you being under a box, in a box. This is the only way that you can do it. You have to do it this way. And this is something that you need to take in the entirety of life, because this is what business people try to get y'all to realize. And a lot of people, y'all sit there and y'all are like, you want to start a business, but you don't think outside the box. And that's the reason why business people who are successful, because they make those connections. They realize that not everybody's going to go down the same path and follow this advisor and go down this path and take this loan out and do this PPP and do this, because y'all don't think outside the box. You have no discerning thoughts. Because you in your brain think that you have to go to school to get a business degree and do this to start your business in order for you to be successful. But majority of people who have started a business that was successful did not get a degree, let alone a business degree. And so this is what I mean. You have to apply it in your full total life. If you think that you putting yourself in this box of diet culture is how you be healthy, the box of you have to follow Western medicine to be healthy, you have been programmed, and you're going to be going down the same path that everybody else is that fits themselves in this box of this is how you be healthy. Do. This is how you be healthy. Follow this shape. I'm not going to say exactly what it is, but it's a pyramid, because I can't say it anymore because I said it. I said it the other day and they took my live. So it's a plate in a pyramid that you put together, and that's what you're supposed to do, right? But they didn't teach you. This is not the way for you to do things and how you go. Because if you want to heal, this is not the space that you need to be in. So if you were sitting here and you're like, I want to start and I want to learn how I can get my body back on track, and I need to release, I need to reset, I have a cleansing code that is going to help you be able to reset your body. It is going to help you rebalance, and it's a full total guide to cleansing. It is 7 books total. It is 6 books, ebooks, and then 1 template guide. They're going to help you be able to detox yourself, cleanse yourself through heavy metal detoxing, anti-inflammatory help, learning how to use food as your medicine through fruits and vegetables, and breaking down each aspect of how you get nutrients in each aspect of a fruit, a vegetable, legume, nut, etc., right? And so then you understand how to actually help your body cleanse and to reset with foods. I'm also going to help you be able to get your gut back rebalanced, because you have to have your gut balanced. And it's going to help you be able to flush your system completely with each guide. Each guide is different. There are 6 guides total in this booklet, and then 1 template guide. So it's a bundle of 7 total. This helps you completely reset your body. This is how I've done it. It's an effective way for you to be able to understand how to fast correctly, so you set yourself up for success. So you're not sitting here thinking that the fast doesn't work, or, oh, you went through so many symptoms during your cleansing and it was so terrible because you didn't set yourself up correctly. You can't sit here and eat 3 meals a day with snacks and then think tomorrow you're going to fast and you're not going to have lightheaded, headaches. You're going to have all these symptoms, because you are. I can't even do that, and I regularly intermittent fast. You can't sit here and say you're going to do a 24-hour fast tomorrow and you eat all day. It's not possible. You can't sit here and think that, oh, I'm going to cleanse and I'm going to detox, and you're not going to have any repercussions from you eating only fruits tomorrow when you ate McDonald's and Burger King for the whole entire week last week, and then you ate Red Robins, and then last night you decided you were going to go to Chick-fil-A. Your body has to readjust and reset itself, but you need to ease it on into there. And so my cleansing code, this is what I teach you. And if you are looking for more in-depth help, if you're looking for really a step-by-step guidance into what you need to do and how you start to live a plant-based lifestyle and really get into the space of making your own natural medicine, making plant-based foods, and understanding how to actually heal and make your own non-toxic products, I forgot to mention that. I have a balanced body program that is linked to my bio, as well as the cleansing code, that is going to help you be able in 6 weeks to live a plant-based lifestyle and actually sustain it, and not just be sitting here living momentary band-aids and not understanding what's going on inside of your body, but actually breaking down what you need to do step by step and having a strategy that works specifically for you, because everybody's life is different. You could work a 9 to 5. You could not work a 9 to 5. You could have children. You could want to meal prep. You could not want to meal prep. All of these things are taken into account when you are in the program, because the strategy is for you. It's not because, oh, I know how to do this and this is exactly how you do this. This is me teaching you how to live the lifestyle based on the life that you live, so that you're not struggling, so you're not hating it, but actually having a specific strategy that works. So before I get off and go do what I need to do, because as you can see, I'm in my car. I'm waiting to go do something really quickly. I will take questions. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the likes, guys. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the gifts. Thank you for helping us meet the live goal. I really appreciate you guys. What questions do you guys have for me before I get off? Any questions about the program? Any questions about the cleansing code? Any questions about anything that I said? What questions do you guys have? What questions do you guys have for me? It's telling me to set. Oh, okay. Okay. It's asking me. It's doing too much. Entirely too much. It's asking me to set goals and everything else. Just move. Okay. Look at me, just move. What questions do you guys have for me? If not, if you don't have any questions and I answered all the questions, I'm happy that I, covered my base as well. And I'm going to hop off. If you have not gone ahead and subscribed to my YouTube channel, go on ahead. This will be posted on YouTube, as well as all my past lives are posted on YouTube, as well as I also have an email list that you can sign up for. That is my Wellness Wednesday. Every Wednesday I send out an email that is just wellness tips, information about what I've been researching, what's going on, etc., etc. Plenty of helpful tips and information. So what questions do you guys have for me? I'm going to give you about 1 minute, then I'm going to hop off. I'm going to give you all about 1 more minute to ask any questions, if you have any. And thank you guys for the comments. I really appreciate it. I see you guys in the comments. I do. I didn't see any questions as I was going along. I don't see any questions. I don't think I missed any questions. I just saw commentary. Yes, we spoke a lot on inflammation today. Okay, no questions, guys? Y'all have no questions? So I'm glad I covered my bases. I hope you guys have an amazing, amazing Sunday. I hope you have a great start to your week. I don't know what these people are out here doing. I'm going to get in the store before people start acting a fool and get back in the house, because it's hot outside. You know, people act when it's hot outside. Hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Did you say what moisturizer you use? I did not say what moisturizer I use. I make a, this is something that I teach in my program as well, is how to make your own infused oils, herbal tinctures, and etc. But as of right now, I don't have it because I did run out and I need to make some more, but I usually make my infused oils and that's what I use. But as of right now, I just have coconut oil on. That's just what I have on. But coconut oil, from my experience of what I have for what's kind of skin combination I have, because I have combination skin, combination of oily, combination of dry, and prone to, because my skin is sensitive, prone to breakouts. Just from irritations, not necessarily breakouts from inflammation, but just like irritants. Any irritant that gets on my skin, I instantly either have a red spot or a breakout or like a rash or something. So, and that's just how my body has been. I have naturally just sensitive skin. I make my herbal tinctures that are for that reason, for sensitive skin or inflammatory skin in general, or just anti-inflammatory. Coconut oil is not going to help with any of that. Coconut oil is great for moisturizing, but it's readily absorbed. So what that means is that it's absorbed quickly through the skin, so it doesn't sit long enough for it to get rid of the issues that you're having on the surface, if that makes sense. Like, it absorbs in and absorbs in quickly, and it keeps you moisturized, because that's what I have on my skin right now. That's the reason why my face looks kind of oily, and also I'm kind of sweaty in here sitting in the car because, like I said, it's a little warm. But yeah, it's readily absorbed, so it's not going to get the topical healing, if that makes sense. That's just what I've learned from my experience of me using coconut oil in the beginning and not using infused oils. I like to use the combination of both. That's just my go-to. Sometimes I use my infused, sometimes I use coconut oil. Yeah, I love my, I forgot how to say it. I think it's jojoba, or, because I know it's not jojoba, but that's how it's spelled, but it's like jojoba or something. But that's one of the things that I use I use a mixture of different oils. It's not just one oil. I use that almond oil. I mix coconut oil. Like, when I make my infused oil, it's a combination of so many different oils in it, and it's so rich, and I love it because of how nourishing it is and hydrating it is to my skin, and it doesn't clog my pores. And so these are the things that I teach in my program, because a lot of people have those mishaps and those stumbling blocks and all those different things in the beginning, because it is a learning process. And so I want to diminish all of that and show you how I do that. But that is like you get endless access to me, if that makes sense. So we have not only we have our app that you contact me through, which you will have 24 access to me through that app, but we also have our workshops and our master classes during that 6 weeks to help you be able to get to the space of understanding and also clarity and plenty of other things. But thank you for all the questions. What other questions do you guys have for me? Oh, it's your first time here? Well, I'm so happy that you were here. Oh, my phone got hot because it got really, really dark. Oh, it's asking me to verify myself. It wasn't my phone got hot. Okay. What other questions do you guys have for me? I'm so happy for all of you seeing me on your FYP. If you have not followed, go ahead and follow. You are so, so welcome. If you have any questions that you don't want to ask on live, if it's a personal question, I do take DMs. You can DM me. If you're watching on YouTube, your best chance to get a reply to me is to DM me on either TikTok or Instagram, but I do reply to the comments on YouTube if they are sensible. If you're just asking me something so you can try to defute it with somebody else's doctorate, please go on. Because like I said, I'm not here to argue. I just spit facts. If you don't like those facts and you want to argue with opinion, I block, and I happily block, or I just remove the comment and move on about my business. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And yeah, I will see you.